What's up, guys? My name's Nick, and this is Bad Taste, this is the Elusive Exclusive Book Society, and we are here to talk about a book. The book is The Ice King or Burial Rites by Michael Scot. And we have a wonderful guest here today, and his name is Jake from Pulpmore.
Hey, thanks for having me.
From Night Nerves. He was awesome. If you haven't watched his channel, genuinely. And that's the best I got. They told me 2 minutes ago I was doing the intro. So,
well, that was wonderful.
Totally
Thank you.
Just starting with a bang.
Sam,
thank you.
Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
Sam from Night Nerves, in case you guys missed that. And we have Bryan from Bad Taste Books.
Yeah, or Nick, or whatever my name is.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And today we are discussing the Burial Rites here.
I don't have my copy because it was an ebook. Sorry.
I read a copy for free on the internet.
Yep.
I did.
It's also known as the Ice King.
Yes.
And it is by Michael Scot. If anyone wants to get their Michael Scot jokes out of the way now.
That's what she said.
Okay.
There you go.
That's what she said.
All right. I'm out. See you guys.
It was almost too obvious. I didn't come up with anything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's me, Brian. I go for the low-hanging fruit. That's also what she said.
Someone has to.
Hey.
I just assumed it was printed on Dunder Mifflin paper.
There we go.
So I was curious about this whole Michael Scot scenario. So I looked into it. And it's the book is actually written by Michael Scot Rohan and Alan J. Scott. And on the original publishing, the original book, first edition, The Ice King, it has both of their names. And then when they republished it in the US, they changed the title to Burial Rites, and they can combine their name into Michael Scot. Probably wondering why. Why would they do that? And there's only one T. And both of them have two.
What happened to the other T?
I don't know. So I think that it's in tribute to Michael Scot, the Scottish mathematician and wizard, who Michael Scot Rohan claims to be related to.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, a real wizard?
Yeah, a
Isn't
real
this
one.
like mathematician and wizard in the sense that often you think of a mathematician as being a wizard for knowing all this stuff, or he's actually like a wizard?
No, I think it's just that era that he was around of the 1200s when if you knew stuff, you were a wizard.
Oh. I thought it was like a buddy, like, or my high school math teacher. He was a wizard, but old guy. I'm really tired, everybody. I'll catch up.
That's good.
Chug that coffee, Jake.
All right, so say hello. Hey, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff?
There's Levi.
Oh gosh.
Brushing his teeth fell out.
I don't know, Levi. That's bad even for you, dude.
I like it. Maybe it's because I'm so tired, but I like it. Good job, Levi.
Oh, sorry. I'm not ready.
Yeah, Levi is basically another EEBS member at this point.
Might as well be.
Permanently in the comments.
Yep.
So just a couple more things real fast. The two wrote a nonfiction book about Vikings called The Hammer and the Cross in 1980. And then this one I thought was really interesting was Michael Scot Rohan wrote a book about home computing called First Byte, BYTE, which makes a lot of sense when you get to the end. And there's lots of state-of-the-art computing in this book.
Oh, yes.
I thought that was amusing. At the time, this is groundbreaking.
Yeah, that's fair. Talking about internet searches.
Do you remember that scene in Jurassic Park where this is a ROM system, and it shows the overview? Yeah, it was in the same vein of technology.
It reminded me of war games. I guess we're not there yet, though. Hold on.
Yeah.
So the plot here is a group of archaeologists. I know that there's Americans, but there's UK ones in there too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By the way, this book is pretty muddled, so it's going to be hard to really define what's going on.
I'm glad you said that. I didn't want to be the dumb one again.
It's confusing, and you the summation here is a blessing if you haven't read it, because you don't know what the hell's going on until the end of the book. So basically, 1,000 years ago, there was a pagan guy. Was he a leader of anything? A tribe?
Just
a guy?
tribe leader, sorcerer of some kind.
Right. And then they're in Norway, right?
No, they're in the UK.
They're in the UK.
They're Vikings that sailed over to.
Are you talking about the Vikings? Or are you talking about the main story?
The Viking. I'm talking back in time.
So they're Scandinavian Vikings.
Yes.
Who sailed over to the UK, had colonies there because that's what they did in like the whatever it was, like the 9th to the 12th century or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they're not in Norway. They're in the UK. And then I'm telling you, this thing is so
they're not very clear on it at the beginning, and you kind of have to figure things out as you're going. So
oh no, what happened to Sam?
Sam's out.
He's like, this sucks. I'm out. This sucks.
You guys can't even explain what the book's about.
We're just debating where it took place.
All right, well, we'll continue on. So we had whatever. The archaeologists uncovered this ship. It was a Viking ship, 1,000 years old. They bring someone's doing ancient ritual rites in honor of Odin, which
sounds right. Yeah,
brings back the Ice King and his wife from this ship, and then they.
Oh, I love this.
So he's out. He's like, I didn't want to do it anyway.
We're sorry.
Special
Sam.
thanks to our special guest, Sam from Night Nerves.
There we go.
I'll tell you what. How was that, Sam? How was that?
I don't know if anyone else experienced that, but several of the screens had like the spinny wheel of death, and then it kicked me out and said, "You're having a problem with your internet."
Oh no!
No.
I think it was just your screen that was spinning for most of us.
Yeah, and you were flipping us off like this too, and it was rough.
I don't know. Can anyone else explain this any better than I just did?
I think I think that's as good as we could get. But what I think, like, because they're uncovering this sunken Viking ship, right? That was hidden in a dam or next to a dam or under a dam or something. And so they're excavating it, and it's this big excavation. The Ice King is not Jeff's comment. And they discover some chests, and I think then somebody steals the chests, and one of the chests might have had the body of the queen, I think.
No, one of them has the body of the queen in it, and she supposedly breaks out and frees her husband, which is in the second one.
Oh yeah,
through the modem.
Oh yeah, Levi read it.
Yeah, he did.
Levi read it.
So I don't think anyone steals the chest. They take one chest to the museum and they leave one chest in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're doing that. The book starts with a ritual ceremony where the ram gets slaughtered at the top of the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what awakens the queen from her treasure chest, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Again, it's not too clear.
Okay, before we get too deep into this, Nick, what made you pick this one? Because I'd never even seen this book before.
Well, I had it already, so that was number one. I didn't have to buy it.
Good enough.
It was short.
Yeah.
I like the Viking stuff. I like the North stuff. It just looked cool, right?
It does.
It does look cool, yeah.
It's a great cover.
Yeah, resurrected evil. Yeah, the Vikings, and it was affordable.
Yeah, good enough reason. I was just curious.
Translation: how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
No, I didn't hate it, but all right. So I guess I'll get started on. So it starts out, and like you said, there's like this ritual thing, and there's like this Viking who is now like slaughtering people in this like rainy coastal UK town. And I was like, this is so cool. It's going to be like a slasher in this UK coastal town with a Viking. And then after like 2 chapters, it's like character drama about nothing, about characters I don't care about, and weird rituals. And then the third half goes completely other places, and I didn't get my Viking slasher. Second half, I don't know.
I'm sorry. I'm a jerk.
Did anyone else like
the third half
thinking it was going to be cool? Oh yeah, whatever.
I'm being a jerk, Brian. It's
Nick is a mathematician, or Tim is a mathematician and a wizard.
He's a wizard.
I'm both of those things.
Yeah,
I had a similar experience, Brian. I was very excited just based on the cover, and I didn't read anything about it going into it. I actually, starting it, I figured it took place back in old Viking times, and there's a scene where they mention a taser, and I think I still was wrestling with the idea of it taking place back in the day. I was like, oh, maybe a taser, similar to like there's mace in a can now, but back in the day a mace was a stick with a ball with spikes on it. Maybe taser is some sort of old weapon back in the day. And then slowly I came to the realization that it's in more modern times.
Tied to a stick.
Yeah.
I like it.
But yes, very character heavy and some very, very thin wooden characters. Just a lot of drama, a lot of melodrama, and it's reading it.
Yeah. A lot of sitting in the bar.
Yeah.
A lot of sitting in the bar.
It was especially
welcome to the that's all you're getting. But that's half the book is just like come round here to the pub mate and get yourself a
the dialogue in this book is like 50% apostrophes.
Yeah.
There are so many Northern English accents in this book. It's
half the book is like for like come here, it's like COOM apostrophe ERE, but like the whole book.
Yeah, and the guy speaking Danish too, I believe.
Yeah.
Satans.
Everybody had a different accent, it feels like. Yeah, Satans. I love that. Satans.
Satans. I thought it was also especially confusing when they started off with the news reporter character where you thought he was going to be the main character.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool that they explained the story through the news, the footage of the news. You know, I thought that was interesting. So everything that was the news would be in italics, right? And then for some reason they have this newscaster lead main character for the first chapter. All of his thoughts are in italics too. Yeah. So it's like his thoughts in italics, the video in italics, and those people speaking with the apostrophes. Oh my God.
Plus,
I was stoked on that character though. And then do we even see him again?
Not until like chapter 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It's like over halfway through the book.
I was like, okay, we're following one of the main like dig ladies and the main dig guy and this news anchor. Got it. And then they're just like, oh, forget him. Now we're going to this like local delinquent, and then they kept going to different characters, and I was a little lost.
Plus, nothing was, and this goes through the whole book, nothing at all was ever front loaded, which is you kind of need sometimes. And so a conversation will start, and then a paragraph in, we'll realize who's talking, or it's revealed who's talking, or a situation happens, and then the setting will come, the next page. And so it kind of, and that can be done to effect, but unfortunately, Michael Scot did it with everything.
Mm-hmm.
A monster's attacking, but you don't know what it is until the next scene. And it's just like it made, I don't know about you guys, it made me feel like I was constantly behind running to catch up. And I'm wondering, is this worth all this effort of running?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Absolutely agree.
Well, it was. I feel like his writing in general I didn't like it. Like it's not completely workmanlike and basic. He throws a lot of metaphors and similes in there, but maybe too many. It's like everything has to be some sort of, he did this. It was like something on something, and it became too much to even follow.
You're never grounded at any given moment. Yeah. Without getting into spoilers, which we'll talk about later, I did like the change of pace and even tone of the latter half. But yeah, 2/3 of this, I was just like, I'm reading words.
Yeah, it's 130 pages in. That's when something actually happens.
Did you mean the third half? Is that what you meant?
The third half.
The third half.
We're so smart. We're professional readers and talkers.
Yeah, I wrote down that it's like when you have a dream that you have to be somewhere and you can't ever get there. You know, you're just like, why can't I just got to get to work? You're just like, I gotta wash this dish before I leave. It was also distracting and pointless, and the drama with the people. I didn't even know who was who until the end.
It's because it's not explained.
No.
Yeah, they give you like 18 names in the first 2 chapters, and they kind of expect you to like put together who's who, and it gets kind of, again, muddled. That's the word. It's muddled.
I didn't realize what Hal, our main character, looked like until the end of the book. You're like, oh, that's what he looks like.
They literally never describe him until like the last 2 chapters of the book.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, okay, so I was a little lost on the last book we read together, and I got lost on this one. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, they're never going to have me on again because I'm such an idiot. And now I'm like, yes, I'm not alone.
So I will say, though, and I texted Nick and Jake about this as soon as I started it. At first, I was not on board because within the first chapter of this story, they kill a German Shepherd. And if you guys don't know, I have a German Shepherd. He's like my best friend in the whole world. And I was like, okay, I don't know about this book, but I kept reading, even though I was super angry because they kill a German Shepherd. And I'm gonna be honest, I might be the only one in this. As soon as it shifts into like the Norse mythology, Viking stuff, I was like, okay, I'm in.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of love this book.
Oh wow!
It hooked me. As soon as the word Draugr popped up, I was like, okay, we're in. Like my inner Skyrim fan was like, okay, let's do this.
And
our main villain is a Draugr.
You say you're Hal is the exact same age as the author because he is a self-insert.
Yes.
Ew. You don't want Hal to be a self-insert. He's a horrible person.
But he beds all the ladies. All these young girls want him.
Oh yeah, they do.
And to be fair, they're all awful people. So
yeah,
you know,
it is the classic horror trope of here's a giant group of awful people. Now let's kill them.
For being a Norseman myself, I legitimately am Norwegian. Shut your mouth.
Okay, sorry.
I grew up on Lefse, okay? That's how Norwegian I am. But yeah, my knowledge of Norwegian things is basically Skyrim.
Oh wow, okay.
But you say you're a Skyrim fan. Are you such a Skyrim fan that you own this?
Ooh, no, I don't, unfortunately. Yeah, that thing's freaking awesome. Yeah. I've seen it in the bookstore before.
If you don't know, it's every book in Skyrim, in the video game Skyrim.
It's ridiculous.
And this is cooler than what we just read.
Oh,
look at that.
It is pretty darn cool.
I just want to show it off because nobody ever looks at it.
Have you read any of it?
I've read all of it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like World of Warcraft.
It's video game stuff for Nick. It's for young kids like me and Tim, dude, and Bryan, stuff like that, and Sam. Yeah. Basically everybody but you.
It's like Mario.
Oh,
further back, it's like Tetris.
It's like kind of like it's a little like Frogger.
Mario was
Pong.
before Tetris, dude. Here, Jeff's got a question. So, what exactly is the monster in this one? Is it a ghoul, a demon, something else?
It's a Draugr, which is a the way I've always understood it, because it's one of those things where it depends on what myth we're talking about, but it's generally understood in Norse mythology. There are these things that live in barrows and like Scandinavian burial grounds and stuff, and they're corpses of the dead that through some kind of curse or magic are still walking around and messing with stuff. And so there were stories about people trying to, they're grave robbing, stealing stuff out of these barrows, and they get attacked by these walking corpses. So they're basically like the Viking version of ghouls, essentially.
They describe them kind of vampire-like at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also you get the Ice King, who is like a Viking, right?
Yeah. He's a
Because they
Viking
describe him
sorcerer.
as having the horned helmet.
Mhm.
So, and he's very tall.
Even though,
Yeah.
to be fair, Vikings never actually wore the horned helmets. But
Oh.
I know. That sucks, doesn't it?
yeah. But yeah, they're vampire-like in the fact that if you let one touch you or bite you, you are now cursed and you will become a Draugr when you die.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you said that they wrote actual Viking history books, because you could tell that this was the authors knew what they were talking about in terms of the Viking history,
Yeah.
which was cool, I guess. I was still just disappointed I didn't get like a dumb book about a Viking come to life who kills people in every scene. And then they start getting into the more mythology of the Norse stuff in, the third half. And that was well written, and the atmosphere was really cool, and it was very trippy and almost dreamlike, but it just wasn't what I wanted out of this. And maybe that's just me. But as I was reading it, I thought, I bet Tim is digging this.
I will admit, I think that your prior knowledge of Norse mythology, Germanic mythology, will heavily dictate how much you enjoy this book.
Mm-hmm.
No, it'll dictate how much you enjoy the third half.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That-
there wasn't any Norse mythology for a long time.
That's true. There's not, because like we said, for some reason they just focus so heavily on all these like these horny co-eds just like arguing with each other and sleeping around and going to the bar and having a drink and talking in their annoying apostrophe laden English accents. So
Yeah.
Sam, when did it start to fall apart for you?
So I'll set the scene with how I went about reading this book. I had a fever and I was home 2 days sick from work, and I was actually reading a totally different book. And I thought, there's no better time to start reading a book that I'm going to read on Internet Archives than when I'm stuck home sick. So I pulled up the book, I started reading it, and I'd say pretty early on, but I was very motivated because, as I mentioned, this is my first time doing a live stream like this, and I was like, okay, I'm even if it's a terrible book, I'm gonna read the whole book. But yeah, I would say, similar to what you guys were talking about in the beginning, my video keeps cutting out a little bit, so I apologize if I'm slow to respond. But there was just so many characters, it was hard to follow, and similar to what Jake was talking about, I would read a paragraph and then realize what they were talking about, and then I felt like I would have to go back and reread the paragraph, so I'd be able to understand what they were talking about. So most of it really felt like a slog to me, and I was around the 50-page mark when I realized I think it's 256 pages, if I remember right.
It's 255, but yeah, who cares?
Okay. I just realized I didn't have it in me to. I was also, again, I was sick, so as I'm reading this, I'm falling asleep. And then I'm waking up and going back to reading it, and I'll read a couple more pages, fall asleep, go back to reading it. So it wasn't the most ideal circumstance to be enjoying this book.
No, I agree. I started this like with plenty of time to read it before this video, and I read many other things in between. And Nick asked me the other day, like 2 days ago, he was like, oh, did you finish it yet? And I was like, I'm about halfway through. I was finishing it like last night. So yeah, it took me a hot minute.
Yeah.
I actually read, I don't remember exactly when I reached out to you, Nick, but I think I started reading this around early March. And again, I was planning on reading several other things and reading this closer to when we were doing this live stream, but just the convenience of being sick, I took advantage of that. So I wasn't even actually, just before this too, I went back and was rereading some of the passages just so I could familiarize myself with the text and what I didn't like about it.
It didn't help much, did it?
No.
Somebody asked me when I was reading it, they asked me, hey, what are you reading? And I said, I don't know. And I wasn't lying. Like, I don't know. I don't know what this is.
I think too, sometimes there's moments where you're reading a book and sometimes it's because it's a piece of high literature and it's very smart and I feel like I'm not smart enough for the book, but sometimes it's just kind of a confounding mess. And you'll be reading a book and you're like, wait, am I just dumb that I don't understand what's going on in the story? But so it's refreshing that several other people had a shared experience with reading it and wait, what did I just read? What
I
happened?
often have these thoughts while reading.
I have like 5 notes in here that says, why is this so difficult to read? I couldn't figure out why it was difficult. I was like, is it too many adjectives? I was like, and then like you said, the dialogue, like who the hell is talking? I think I said that 100 times. You're like, what is this? Who are these people?
The writing
How can I have 100 pages of people talking and I don't know who these people are? That's insane.
Because we're never
Just
told.
some of the phrases too, I have no idea what they mean.
Yeah.
Uh,
Defend it, Tim.
Well, the thing is, though, I totally agree with you guys when it comes to like the low points of this book, because yeah, it is super confusing. Even when it's not going into like the trippy Norse mythology dream quest stuff, it's still incredibly difficult because, like Nick said, you don't know who's talking most of the time. You have to have someone's name next to the text in order to understand which character is speaking. And even then, it's just a garble of strung together, run-on sentences with apostrophes because everyone has an accent. It's a ton of stuff in italics for some reason that didn't need to be in italics. There are portions of this book that are just so incredibly difficult to read, even though there's nothing really happening on the page. So, yeah, it's much more difficult to read than it should be. But like I said, when we get to like the halfway point and we start introducing these mythological elements, at that point, I don't know. I'm an easy mark for that kind of thing. So I brushed all that aside. I was like, okay, we're in this. We're having people being sacrificed to Odin. We're having, Draugr. We're talking about the Midgard serpent. We're talking about, spirits of gods possessing people. That is my jam. This isn't even a horror story anymore. This is like a dark urban fantasy story. The latter half of this book is basically straight out of Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. I don't know if any of you guys have read those, but I don't know. I loved the last half of this book. It was fantastic.
All right,
because they actually started explaining what was happening.
Yes,
they actually started explaining settings. They actually started describing the world around you other than simile and metaphor. It's like, oh, it's actually snowing now. Okay.
Yeah.
That threw me. The book starts off with it's a really cool, atmospheric, moody, rainy coastal town, and then suddenly everything's covered in snow, and I was like, wait a minute, has this been winter the whole book?
Same. Oh my god, that was so confusing. Well, let's talk about what was some of the cooler things. And I think that when it first starts to turn around is when there is one character who's the most clear and concise character, and that's the Colby guy, the big giant archaeologist, the big American who's a biker, who's a member of the Hells Angels.
Yeah, this men's a stud.
Yeah, dude, hilarious. So this guy is educated in the mythology, and he has found this group of locals who've been doing the ceremonies, but they didn't know what the ceremonies were for. So he sees them do this, and he's like, do you know what you're doing? And they're like, no, this is just what we've always done. And he explains it to them, and he corrects it. So he goes through, and he's like, no, this is how it's done. We're going to do it for real. And he kind of becomes like this biker gang leader of this, like, you know, Viking biker gang, I guess. And so they get this I think he's a digger. Is he one of the diggers or one of the archaeologists?
He's one of the archaeologists.
So they find they go to a diner, and there's one of the scrawny archaeologists, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Paul, come! You got to come check this out. You got to join us. You know, we're gonna go out here. I'm gonna show you. You're gonna be part of this ceremony. We're bringing it back." And so they take Paul out to the what's it called?
Temple.
Yeah, and they start to do the ceremony, and I was like, "That was awesome." I was
They
like,
give him
"Oh,
a bunch of drugs.
yes." I was so surprised after reading so much crap that something was actually happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And you know, like Tim said, at one point it kind of gave up being, you know, horror and just went into the whole Norse. I feel like that's one of the things is, did this book know what it wanted to be? Like, I thought I was getting into a horror novel, and there were a few scenes that were really well done horror. Like when it goes down, they go down into the barrow.
Yes.
And like the light is like reflecting off the cave walls and all, like that was so well done. And like a couple scenes, but for the most part, I was like, is this like an archaeology treasure finding Indiana Jones thing? Is this like gonna be a full on fantasy thing? Is this, you know, but yeah, I don't know. But you're right. There were some cool scenes for sure.
I would dispute that, Levi, but we're not there yet. So,
so yeah, I was excited. I was like, I can't. All right, are they turning this around here? You know, and then it becomes boring again. And they just start talking again. But it does kind of creep back in as the the ancient Viking wife. She's the one who's escaped first. The Ice King still isn't around. So you have like
he's still in his coffin.
Yeah, so you have this tall, like, mythical monster lady coming through and like messing people up, you know. She trashes the museum, right?
Yep.
She, for some reason, she goes into their bunks and then just walks in and walks out or something. Well, you guys,
yeah, that was one of the more confusing moments for me, because they hear some noises, everyone's like woken up, and they get out of their bunks and they're looking around, and there's nothing that's really different. Does it even say like the door is open or anything? I can't even remember.
I thought they just heard noises.
The important part of that chapter is that at the end of the chapter they look outside and say, "Oh, hey, look, it's snowing."
No, the important part of that chapter is what Prue is wearing.
Oh, right. Or rather, what she isn't wearing.
Or rather, what she's not wearing.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that chapter she was also misspelled pry. Did anybody else catch that? Yeah. Oops.
All right. So so when the wife breaks in the museum, she steals the other treasure chest. So she now has the Ice King back.
Mm-hmm.
You figure that out later. I'm letting you guys know now for your benefit. You don't know any of this. You don't know that it's the Ice King's wife or who he is. Stuff's just happening.
It is.
Stuff is just happening, and we're not exactly
everything
sure
is
what
vague until it's not vague.
No, it's still vague. A lot of it's still vague.
It is.
It gets a little more defined near the end.
So yeah, they after the ceremony, Paul is dead, floating in the water, and the bikers are also dead, which is a surprise because you think he's going to be sacrificed. So they find the bodies, and then they're like, "Oh, it's this Colby guy." The cop thinks that it's Colby, the bike. But they're like, one of the survivors is like, "No, Colby's the one who fought off this monster that was killing us." So there's always throughout the story, you don't know what side Colby's on, where he's at. You know, right?
Yeah.
basically.
That is,
Basically.
I obviously didn't finish the book, but I do remember reading a scene where he's trying to get with this girl and she doesn't want any of it, and he's being a little too pushy, and I think, yeah, I was under the impression he was going to be one of the bad guys or someone that was ripe to get knocked off by the Ice King.
Yeah. Jess, that's his ex-girlfriend, who's now the girlfriend of Hal.
Ew. What's up, Jack?
So yeah, that's the part of the drama. So then, yeah, what happens after the museum? I think, doesn't like the cop think that it's Colby, and then Hal is like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then the Jess girl is like, how dare you? Even though, like Sam just said, Colby was just at her house, like being an asshole. So
Well,
for
there's
some
a thing where,
reason,
like, Hal
she-
took him under his wing, even though he knew he was like a ne'er-do-well.
Well, there's like some kind of implying that when he was back in the States at college, he was involved in a fraternity thing,
Yeah.
and like they were involved in an incident where someone died. They never really explain any of that, but yeah, he was involved in something like that. And so the professor character, Hal, who is sometimes our main character, sometimes not, he kind of takes this Colby guy under his wing and tries to protect him because he feels bad for him, and he knows that he's like this brilliant archaeological student, so he wants him to do well. But like, yeah, there's some constant back and forth as to, is this guy, one of the villains? And we seem like it seems like it's gonna be confirmed during that whole ritual scene where they have Paul all strung up and they're about to like reenact the hanging of Odin, essentially. And yeah, then the Draugr just burst in and start killing people. And so it's like, okay, so he's not the villain. And then a couple scenes later, we find that he became one of the Draugr as well.
That
yeah,
was a
he's
cool
like,
thing, though.
yeah, he's possessed, kind of.
Yeah.
But
He's
it's
like a
still him.
Jack, like Hulk version of Colby in this
Right.
trailer with Jess.
Right.
And then doesn't Jess like push him or kick him, and he like flies out a window and off a cliff?
Yes.
I was like, how did she have the strength for that? Or someone did, right? The other guy, Paul, I don't remember.
So it was really confusing. But so they're fighting in her trailer, and two of the diggers, I can't remember their names. I want to say it's Neville and someone else. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Harry, Neville and Harry. Okay, they come to help her out.
These aren't characters.
Yeah, I know. They come to help her out, and they intervene just as she's about to be killed. And they keep referencing the fact that this trailer is for some reason situated precariously on this giant ledge that's overlooking the seashore. And so it's constantly rocking back and forth as everyone's fighting inside. And so I guess they try to imply that she just gets one lucky kick off of Colby, knocks him backward, and the momentum of this rocking trailer causes him to burst through one of the walls and fall off the ledge, and then his body shatters into a million broken pieces on the seashore.
Well, they describe him as being like super
the
jacked.
Hulk.
He's standing
Yeah, I know.
up and like
Yeah.
can't stand in the trailer like this.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, he just kicks her, or she just kicks him, and he's like, off the cliff. That was like,
Yeah, through a wall.
Yeah.
yeah.
They said she used to be an acrobat, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Literally right before it happened.
She used her acrobat skills. No, that part, yeah, where they're tearing up that little trailer was awesome because he's like a huge monster, and he's like every time he moves, like his fist goes through the wall just to punch someone.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was another good part.
It had its moments.
And it's also one of the rare moments where things are kind of clarified, because for whatever reason he has this huge villain monologue as he's trying to kill her, and he's basically talking about like how they made me an offer and I accepted it. I am one of Odin's servants now, and he describes himself as the particular word he uses is Einarjar, which is weird that they're bringing that into this, because the Einarjar are the spirits of the dead in Norse mythology who just hang out in Valhalla, which is Odin's big mead hall, where everyone's supposed to wait until the end of the world, and then he'll raise up this army and fight back against Loki and all the demons that are trying to destroy the world. But in this book, they kind of conflate the Einherjar, who are traditionally depicted as the good guys, with the Draugr, who are like these chaotic, evil, undead monsters. So then it becomes even more confusing for people who know the mythology that we're talking about. But all while they're trying to explain what's going on. So yeah, this book is all over the place. Like, even when it's good, it's just super confusing.
Yeah.
Well, that was impressive, Tim.
Don't let me do it again, because I might take up the rest of the live stream with
I'm
Germanic
impressed.
mythology speak.
That's good. We have a resident expert here.
Oh, I wish I was a.
So, okay, are we? I think we're to the part where Hal goes to the Drell of Jory mystical underworld. So yeah, what is he? He goes. Some people go missing. I think the reporter from the beginning, he sends them out on some fool errand.
Yes.
And they
So
die.
yeah, one of the other archaeologists and the Australian documentary maker / journalist guy.
There's an Australian.
Yeah, he was what's his face?
Latimer.
Tom Latimer.
I didn't know he was Australian. This is what I'm saying.
You couldn't tell by the dialect, the writing, and
Right.
the amount of apostrophes.
They all started bleeding together after a while. Like, okay,
I honestly
get it.
don't know
They're
how
all
I remember.
foreigners except for Colby. He's the only American.
Wait,
And
so
Hal.
the journalist was not also the documentarian?
No, he is.
No, he
It's
is.
the same
Okay.
guy.
Okay, yeah.
But he and one of the other archaeologists, whose name I'm also forgetting, Hal.
Wilf. It's
Wilf.
Wilf.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Prue's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, Wilf. Okay.
Wait, that's Prue's ex.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually her current boyfriend who she's cheating on with Hal.
Yeah.
And Hal's cheating on
Jess.
How about-
Jess because Jess wouldn't stay the night.
She wouldn't let him
Post-coitus.
stay the night.
She wouldn't let him stay the night. So she's like, forget it, I'm going to cheat on you.
No, I thought it was because who cares? This is stupid.
No, it matters.
It matters, okay? Jess isn't cheating on anyone. She's not letting Hal spend the night in her trailer, so he's cheating on her with Prue, but Prue is cheating on her boyfriend, who is Wilf.
Right.
And Colby is Jess's ex.
Yes.
Yes. Colby is also Jess's ex.
Everybody got that?
Yes.
It's important. It's 100 pages.
It's not
worth
that
of
complicated, people. Come on.
And
We
the
should
Ice
just
King.
cut
The
that-
relationship mythology.
Yeah.
Just cut that 10 seconds of Tim being like, and then he's her ex-girlfriend, and then she was cheating on him with her. And
Not my finest moment, I will admit.
Wilf.
Yeah,
Wilf
so
and
Wilf
Latimer.
and
Matthew G.
Wilf and Latimer, this journalist guy, they go.
I don't know.
Hal Hansen, the professor, sends them to investigate one of the barrows, which is not even part of the current dig that they're on, but it's whatever. They think that maybe some of the things that have been stolen from the museum are hidden in the barrow, and so they go down there, and yeah, they get killed by the Draugr. That's basically what happens. You're confusing them, Levi. We know you've read this.
So Hal goes out looking for them, and then he's on a beach, and hands are coming up. And
This is when it gets awesome.
yeah, who's there? Do you remember? I didn't write down her name. She was
So-
the Lord of the Underworld.
Yeah,
Hela?
it's Hela, who is the goddess
Hela,
of the underworld.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she takes on the form of Prue, who again was the girl that he was cheating on, who was also cheating on her boyfriend with him. Who, by the way, we totally missed over the part where she got attacked by the Draugr, so she's in the hospital at this point. But Hela is taking on her form just because she wants to be a familiar face for him to recognize. And she says that he needs to be her messenger to the real world, which is weird because that doesn't really factor into anything that goes on after that. And like you said, Nick, it turns into Jarell of Joiry, where he's like going through this hellscape, which they keep trying to explain that it's the world tree, Yggdrasil, the big cosmic tree that links all the different worlds together, but it doesn't do a very good job of explaining it. So, but yeah, and he keeps getting like attacked by monsters and stuff. He gets attacked by dark elves, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, but different kinds of dark elves.
Yeah,
not D&D dark elves.
Yeah, they're not drow. They're Svartalfen.
Well, this trippy scene describing Yggdrasil was like cool. I could tell he was describing something cool, and I even Googled it and was looking at pictures, and I was like, no, that doesn't help.
Yeah, no.
Not pictures, illustrations, but.
And again, it even confused me, who, you know, I know about Norse mythology. It mentions Nidhogg, which is this, in mythology, it's this dragon that chews on the roots of the world tree. But in this book, it's like a mass of these red vines that grows everywhere. And that even really isn't described that well. And they lash at him and he gets away from it. It's weird.
I thought it was interesting, but it went on just a little too long.
It did.
Especially for how boring the rest of the book was. You're like, oh, this is really creative for a book about a bunch of people sitting around talking in a bar. Most of the book. I kind of wondered, since it was written by two people, I really liked the fight scenes and like the horror and the more mythology stuff. If like one person was in charge of the dialogue and they just really sucked, and then the other guy was like, I know all this stuff. And that was really good, you know?
I'm thinking that's what it is.
They're both probably watching right now, so let's ask them.
I always wonder about that when two people write a book, how they determine who writes what gets to stay in the novel.
Yeah.
Right. Do they do it chapter by chapter? Like, here's the next chapter. And they're like, okay, I'll see what I can do.
I tried doing it with a friend of mine one time and we couldn't figure it out. Like we had like a Google Doc opened up and it was like, okay, this is the stuff that you're going to write. This is the stuff I'm going to write. We're going to like compare and contrast here. And we still couldn't like figure out what we're doing. So I don't know how authors like collaborate on this kind of stuff. It must be confusing.
I did it somewhat. We never finished the script, but a buddy wrote a script with a friend and he would write, I think we'd allot each other a certain amount of pages, and then we'd go, after one of us would finish, we would talk and kind of work it out. And if we had any objections to where the story was going or anything that we had added, we would hash those out. And then the next person would get the next 10 or 20 pages. But it was a lot, you know, it's definitely not a very efficient way of writing.
Yeah. Nick, did you say that these guys collaborated more than once?
They wrote the nonfiction book about the Vikings.
Okay, so that kind of what I would guess, and like obviously who knows? Who the heck knows? Only they do. But like, since this book changed tones a few times, it seems like there was two different people writing it. All the stupid drama bar stuff, you know, I could see that being one of the authors. And then another, you know, then as soon as the trippy dream sequence happens, all the Viking stuff. So it makes me wonder, maybe one of these guys is more of an expert on Norse mythology and things like that. So he handled like, well, let me handle this part, and they collaborated and then did a nonfiction on it together. That might be my guess. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
North mythology.
The other guy's like, I'm really great at character work.
Yeah, right.
Can I do the dialogue?
He's like, yeah, that stuff doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Which, by the way, they're both UK authors, correct?
One's Scottish.
Okay. Because
I'm
going to be honest.
In Scotland, right?
What?
Is this story in Scotland? Is that the part of the UK?
No, it's in Yorkshire. It's in
Thank
Yorkshire,
you.
England.
I talked about, before this video started, I was asking Tim where this took place.
I don't know how I'm the only one that remembers things from this book. I'm sorry.
I kept Googling Satherby. I was like, what the hell is Satherby?
Well,
It doesn't exist.
The apostrophes and stuff. He said like Cumir. I was like, that's like real like Scottish or Welsh or something, right?
Well, that's the thing, because if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is a couple of American authors who are trying to make fun of the way British people talk. But it's apparently it's two UK authors, and they're just, I don't know, they're trying to maybe they're you said the one guy's Scottish, maybe he's making fun of the way the Northern English people talk.
It's a missed opportunity not having each of us have a different accent for this entire review. Dang it. Dang it.
It didn't help that every character was from another country too. It doesn't help tell you where everyone's from.
They never really explain why this dig is being funded by Rayner College in Texas.
Why not?
Because then we could have an American student who's maybe the villain, maybe not.
A Hell's Angel.
And he's also a Hell's Angel, yeah.
He's a Hell's Angel archaeologist.
He's a Hell's Angel archaeologist that knows a lot about Norse mythology.
A tales as old as time.
He might be the most unbelievable thing about this book.
He's also super buff, and he was a football player.
He's 250 pounds. I don't remember his height, but I'm assuming 6'4" easily, at least.
Probably.
And then he gets bigger after he dies and becomes a Draugr. So,
Yeah.
All right, so I guess how much time we got? 52 minutes. After he goes to after Hal goes to the Deathland, he gets some special power, right? And then he challenges the Ice King to.
No, hold on.
Damn it, Tim.
Hold on.
I'm trying to get through this thing.
I know, but it's not. I'm sorry. It's
like
not
reading the book all over again.
You're skipping the best part.
It's not that he just gets a special power. You realize what happened though. He gets possessed by a very specific entity.
Satan's
bloody. Is it Odin?
No.
Is it Hela?
No. So again, it's one of those things where you're only going to understand this if you really know Norse mythology. They keep making reference to the friend of men during that sequence. And so as he's like falling during the end, he falls off the world tree and he's like hurtling back towards the mortal realm or whatever. He hears a voice in his head saying, "And I was once the friend of men." He's being possessed by Thor because Thor in Norse mythology is the guardian of Earth. He's the guardian of mankind.
Why didn't they just say that?
Yeah,
because they wanted to be super vague. I don't know.
They don't say it at all in the book.
The scene at the end where him and the Ice King are just fighting, I was like, this is so dumb. How would he win? I didn't even realize he was possessed.
Yeah. He's possessed, and then afterwards, so it's so messed up because I kind of like that fight scene, even though it is super stupid that he challenges the Ice King to single combat or whatever, and he has this army of Draugr that's surrounding them, and all the other characters are like tearing up the Draugr with like what was it, like kerosene bombs and shotguns and stuff,
right? I thought they chopped the electric lines down.
But they also had like a spinning fan.
They somehow
a tractor.
They were using a spinning a snow fan that was attached to someone's tractor, and they took the cage off, so it's just this spinning rotor blade that starts slicing up all the dead people.
It was like the scene in Dead Alive with the.
I was just thinking about that with the lawnmower.
That's all I was thinking when I was reading it.
Yes,
I was like, this scene has been done better.
It's true. But and then but the thing is, when the power lines get cut down and they start blowing stuff up and there's, electricity shooting all over the place, Hal even says, "I think I lost the power." But then again, there was lightning. So he's implying that as the power of Thor was leaving him, he sent down a lightning bolt to smite these monsters. It's a good reference.
He lost I like this. He lost the power because they interfered. Oh, there's my phone. And it wasn't a one-on-one fight, so it wasn't fair anymore. So they took his power away. I thought that was cool. That's how all fights should be. Real life. So then they blow it. Ice King runs. Ice King's wife gets killed by the tractor.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
They wreck the army of Draugr.
Yeah, the exploding tractor full of kerosene that may or may not have been Thor's doing, I guess.
I thought that was cool though, because they pound pound her into the dirt with the excavator,
Right.
and then drive over her, and then he's just sitting there like, ha 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 ha. And then she starts emerging from inside the tractor and breaking through. I thought that was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was.
And stop calling her the wife. She's the queen, the ice queen.
Odd.
Dang it.
Her name's Odd.
Odd, yeah.
Yeah.
His name is Raven. So that's Prue's last name too, coincidentally, or just more muddle for the fun of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It probably
So then we finally
there's nothing there.
Prue is Thor.
So then I think actually this might happen just a second before the final battle, but it's when Jess hooks up the modem.
Oh
to
yeah,
the computer in Texas, and then we get what's going on in this story. That's the only time it's explained. Page 180, and that's when we get all of the mythology and the history, which is the King Raven and his wife Odd. They were pagans. They worship Satan, which is stupid because they're pagans and they don't believe in Satan. So that didn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, it's going off that old Christian belief that if you worship other gods, you're essentially worshiping Satan.
And then they make a satanic temple and have human sacrifices. And then they are they officially killed? Or are they just stuck on the boat and then they go to light the boat on fire, but the boat doesn't catch on fire? They just sink, right?
So it was so vague about that, but it seems like to me
Literally
the people that lived in the area were sick of them, performing their black magic and stuff. So they killed them, put them on the boat, and then gave them a Viking funeral. But somehow they didn't do it right, and so the boat burned, but it didn't sink all the way. It just hit the dam and sunk, like went under or lodged into the. I don't know.
So Levi's comment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched Levi's review on this, but he nail on the head where he was basically like, how is this expert that they all need throughout the whole thing? And then at the end, Harry's just like, oh, I got a bunch of Norse mythology knowledge, and just like says all this
whole
stuff.
Story,
and you just like told us this all along. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's to jump off of what Levi said in his review, which, by the way, go subscribe to the Outlaw Levi Wallace. He's awesome. In his review, he points out so many of these characters could have just been combined into other characters. We don't need to have all these random digger guys joining the group, because the only thing they contribute is stuff that other people should be contributing.
I forgot about Wilf until this review.
Yeah,
or until this video.
The only reason he exists is because there's one other person that we can kill. Part of this book is supposed to be a slasher, I guess, so we have to have a kill count, and having one other useless character racks up that kill count.
And the drama, the relationship.
Yeah,
drama.
well, yeah, obviously.
What'd you guys think about the kills? I thought some of them were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did. The only kill I got to was the dog.
Oh,
in those.
Well,
so
they killed the guy too. The guy,
the dog's owner. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't actually, if I remember right, there's not a scene where he dies in it though, right?
No,
you just hear about it.
Exactly. But they do go into detail explaining that when the dog was killed, they ripped out its entrails and spread it all over the crime scene or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was after the fact. It was off camera, as they say, right, Brian? Off camera kill.
Yeah, off camera in the third half.
Yeah, they don't go into details on the dog killing. They do go into details on the ram killing in the beginning, though.
Yes.
So
yeah, Nick would pick a book with a bunch of animal murder in it.
He loves
That's
it.
his style.
Kill those animals
and
eat them.
Kill that ram for nothing.
I'm curious though, what was everyone's favorite kill in the book?
I really it stuck with me when Jess kicks Hulk Colby out of the trailer.
Yeah,
it's terrible. I loved it.
Yeah, the trailer fight was probably my favorite. Because I mean, what were the other kills? There was everything kind of, even when they attacked Prue, you didn't see that. That wasn't explained.
Well, she didn't die. She's just hospitalized.
Yeah.
With a very, very tiny chance of survival.
I'm trying to think of who they actually killed in person. There's a part where Hal's walking up to Prue's house and there's just a dead guy on a fence.
Oh, yeah.
There were two. One guy, he kind of got like pulled apart by the Draugr, and then I think another guy got choked out. I think, but I couldn't tell you their names.
Well, the guy that got pulled apart, I believe, was Wilf, because that's after he and the documentary film director guy.
Oh, Latimer, right?
Latimer, yeah, they
Latimer.
go into the barrow, and the Draugr are in there. Turns out, and so again, Latimer gets kind of killed off screen. Wilf escapes, and then as he's walking through this, snowstorm that's outside the barrow, the Draugr catch up with him, and it describes him being like bent in half and crushed and torn apart. That probably was my favorite kill, even though it's like an absolutely useless character that didn't need to be part of the story.
So maybe Prue was. We'll have to check the timeline. Maybe she wasn't cheating if her boyfriend got ripped to shreds by a Draugr.
No, she was.
Okay.
Yeah, she was.
Because she hooks up with Hal, and then Hal's the one who sends him out on that fool's errand.
Yeah.
Kevin, we already covered that.
Kevin. We should have another roast of Kevin just for that comment.
So yeah, that was cool, and I liked the when Jess hooks up the modem. I mean, this was 1987, so that was like groundbreaking, right? I thought it was like War Games. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, for those who didn't read it, they're explaining the pre-internet and how it works for pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the exposition dump.
At one point, one of the characters is like, "What? So they have a bunch of books?" And she's like, "Well, they're files, but yeah, basically the same difference." And I was like, "Oh man, this really is,
You can store an entire thesaurus on 2 discs."
Yeah, I know.
And she's like, "No, it's at the big servers in Texas."
But at the time, that was like probably really interesting, We're laughing at it now because look at us,
Yeah.
But at the time, it was like groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that they threw that in there.
It was fun.
Even though it's funny now.
I like reading those old technology type books. I read this one like Programmed for Terror by B.W. Batten, and it's like the whole premise is based on just old pre-internet technology, and it's just silly to read the whole book based on that, but it's funny.
Nice.
So then we got the end where the Ice King's running away, and then I don't know what happened to him. I don't even care anymore.
Am I gonna have to explain it? Okay. So
does anyone else remember, Jake? Do you remember how the book ends?
Yeah, but it wasn't clear that they were at the dam where the sunken ship is until like I said, all this front loading until literally halfway through the fight. You're like, oh, they're at the dam. I thought they were just in like some snowy field or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they. It's true. Craziness, I know. But so after the big disaster at the temple with all the dead alive, brain dead, zombie killing and stuff, the only one of the Draugr at that point that survives is the Ice King. He gets away, which is kind of disappointing for me because as stupid as the whole single combat thing was, I wanted that to have more of a payoff, but it doesn't because the other characters intervene, and so because it wasn't a fair fight, the spirit of Thor leaves Hal, and he no longer has his powers. And so after the fight, the Ice King gets away, and then there's a boat chase. So Hal and Jess are now chasing him on a boat. It's suddenly like a weird, like James Bond-esque finale. They're chasing him on a boat, and all of a sudden they're at the dam.
The big when we explain it.
The big revelation here too is they're like, "Oh, he took the power boat. We'll never catch up." And then she's like, "But wait, do Vikings know what motors are?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, dude!"
Yeah, yeah. The only way they're even able to catch up with him is because he doesn't know what a motor is. So he's just using the sails, and there's not much of a wind, so it just kind of slowly pushes him across the water. And he beaches it right next to the dam, and somehow they're already there. And then we have this fight with the two of them and the Ice King on top of the dam, and there's was it like an oil drum or something that explodes?
He threw an oil drum at them. And
That's right. Okay.
Then it must have teetered and fell into the damn water where it just sat there and turned the
right.
whole.
Because then one of them has a flare gun on them, correct?
Yeah, she shoots him with a flare gun.
Right, and that catches fire with the oil drum that explodes, and then
and then it ends with a Beowulf poem.
That's right, it does.
Did you like how she didn't even hesitate to blast the oil when she knew Hal, her boyfriend, was in there?
Yes.
She was in there, but she didn't hesitate for 1 second. Bam!
But he somehow survives, except he gets his eye burnt off because, ooh, it's like Odin symbolism. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, what'd you guys think?
Like I said, this book was so stupid and awfully written, but I love it just because all the crazy Germanic mythology references. But I understand that I'm the odd one out here.
Yeah, it's it wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but it's subpar.
There's no screening involved.
Yeah, we asked Nick, and his explanation was, I had it, and it was short, and it had a cool cover.
Yeah. How do you guys pick books?
Pretty similarly.
Look how short this is. I'm going to read this one. Doesn't matter what it's about.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one that struggled with it. And
yeah,
I can't imagine
It's
reading
not
it
you.
when I was sick because it would be even like more confusing, you know. It's dreamlike anyway, in the way that it doesn't just move forward. Like normal things just don't happen. It's all just wishy-washy.
Mm-hmm.
Do people like this style
What is the style?
of
Style
just
of what?
not explaining what the heck's happening?
No.
No, nobody likes this. Did you read any of the reviews on Goodreads?
No.
You say that, but there's an entire book series called Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe that explains absolutely nothing.
Oh God. If liminal spaces are literally books are listening right now.
Those guys love those. Yeah.
They do.
I don't know what
Oh.
Doris Pissarra is.
She did. I just recently reviewed a book of hers, Star Writer. She's good. She's a good writer, author.
No, writer.
I think Nick, don't you have Spinner?
I do.
Yeah, that book's rad.
Oh, so I do know who that is. Well, you know what books I have. I don't. All right, cool. Well, Burial Rites. We got anything else to say, or let's talk about something interesting?
So should we do our recommendations on it, or what we thought, our final thoughts? If people don't know by now.
Yeah, what are your final thoughts, Jake? Wait, I have a question for you, Jake. And I was thinking it the whole time I was reading it, because they say the word bloody constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since you've been watching the UK guys, I've noticed you start saying bloody in your videos. So were you excited? You're like, oh.
I've always said bloody. That's I've always said bloody. So if you just recently heard it, it's just because maybe I don't know, toning myself, trying to self-censor myself. But bloody is, I always say bloody.
Oh, okay.
Are you asking Jake if he related to the characters? Is that what's going on?
I was just seeing if he was into all the bloody in there. There's like little sentences where they said bloody 3 times.
There are entire sentences where each word in the sentence has an apostrophe.
Satan's.
Dude, that cracked me up. Satan's. That might be my favorite part of the book. I'm just going to go around and start saying that now. Satan's. Where are my car keys?
Curses.
At the grocery store.
Satan's.
Where are the LaCroix? You're out? Satan's. Good.
Yeah, final wrap up. Go.
I would say I stick by my idea that if you are really into Norse mythology, and you also want to read a slasher, then you will probably enjoy this book. It'll be confusing, but you will get some enjoyment out of it.
Don't read it if you want a slasher.
If you just want an actual like slasher horror novel, no, absolutely not.
It had some fun moments, and I was enjoying myself at the end. The end sequence I thought was pretty fun. Still confusing, but the juice is not worth the squeeze. This is hard to follow, boring, and kind of a waste of my time.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's, there's some decent parts here and there, and I do appreciate that someone wrote a horror book with a unique horror villain. I mean, a Viking is not, I can't think of another example. It's cool. I'm glad someone wrote it. I just don't think it worked. I think it didn't know what it wanted to be, because it's not full out horror. It's not full out fantasy like Norse mythology. It's just kind of muddled and all over the place, as you said.
Yeah, I agree with Bryan. I love the idea of the premise, but I found it boring, confusing, and not very fun.
Yeah, that should be on the blurb on the book. Boring, confusing, and not very fun.
I mean, they've marketed it so many other ways, so they might as well try it.
Yeah, I would say that I hated it for a long time. And then once it did have the cool parts, that was exciting, but I don't know if it was just because the beginning was so bad that I was just so excited that something was happening.
Yeah.
That, like, was it actually enjoyable? It'd be cool if they could redo this and just rip out 150 pages and see what it's like. Would it actually be cool?
Yeah, I agree. We'd have a completely different take, I think.
Yeah, the first 100 pages can go. Like, literally, it's pointless. Pointless.
But then you wouldn't know who's cheating on who and who wants to sleep with who, and
it didn't even matter.
We need to know.
None of it came into play at all.
We need to know how many beers this character can drink in one sitting.
But yeah,
Vikings not knowing about motors might be one of my favorite
I love that.
takeaways from this book. That's really what I learned here.
It was awesome. He's like, he's not a very good sailor, is he? And you can practically tell, like, the light bulb goes on, and she's like, it's because he doesn't know about a motor.
And he's like, you're brilliant. You're so right.
He literally says, I could kiss you right now.
And she's like, well, go ahead. He's like, no, there's no time.
There's no time.
Oh, I did forget. I don't think we mentioned it. The scene when in the mansion or whatever with Prue and where they find Prue's, she's not dead, but she might be dead. But they find her in the first time we actually see the Ice Queen. I thought that was a cool scene.
Yeah, it was a little. It got a little like pulpy horror-esque, where he's like,
that's why I liked it.
Climbing up the stairs, and yeah.
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's all dark. He's climbing up the stairs, doesn't know what's in front of him. Yeah, it was a good scene. Again, we don't really get a kill or anything.
No.
Also, we never really talked about the police inspector character.
Because he's not a character. He's just
He wasn't
like
the main
characters.
character, I suppose.
I thought he would be the main character for a while because I was like, okay, maybe it's Hal. Oh no, now it's I forget. Is it Ripley? His name Ripley? Ridley, thank you.
Ridley.
Then I was like, okay, now Ridley's our main character. It's like, oh no, now it's back to Hal.
Well, because once again, they keep starting chapters off from his point of view, and they go like that for a whole chapter, and then afterwards, it's just like, no, we're talking about this character now, and yeah.
In the chat, Kevin says Nick's looking for the sequel he has. Y'all notice how Nick is also tripping over books as he.
Yeah, our host left.
Man.
We should not say, don't say anything. Let's not say anything till he gets back and just.
Well, what they're...
I can hear you talking. No. I think it's pee, dude. I got a small bladder.
Mhm.
Anyway, what are we talking about? You know what?
Did you
Sam,
remember?
I really like your channel, dude.
Thank
Sam,
you.
if anyone doesn't know, it's all horror.
Mhm.
We talk about a lot of vintage horror. And it has, unlike our channels, it has ambiance.
Fantastic production value. I feel like you're
Mhm.
watching something made by a professional.
It's that LA quality.
Yeah, it
Thank
is
you.
great.
So we're gonna wrap it up here.
I tried putting ambiance on my old videos, and people told me to turn off the music.
Don't listen to him. Every
I'll
other
always go with the music.
I get that from time to time. I ignore them. Like, nah, I want it.
I feel like you got to have the levels just right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have to mix it. Yeah.
Because I've watched some videos where it's like, I can't hear you talking, but then a nice little peaceful thing in the background, I'm like, all right. You know?
I started adding it when I could hear my breathing because I have asthma. So it's like, like this will cover it up.
Asthma or ASMR?
ASMR, sir.
We'll have to see what he has in his what he's tagging. Is he tagging
That could be an
ASMR?
angle for
I
the
bet you he is.
channel. The breathing.
Yeah, yeah. People tune in for the breathing.
Yeah.
Tune in for the breathing, stay for the books.
That one guy told me. That one guy, I got a comment that said I had weird breathing.
Can you stop?
Can you please stop with your weird breathing?
See,
No, I can't.
It kills me.
I like your breathing, Nick.
You guys get those mean comments. I always get the really heinous stuff where it's like, people accusing me of freaking,
What?
Being inappropriate.
yeah, being inappropriate. Where it's like, what are you talking about? I'm a good boy.
I like it, Sam, in your videos where you're like, if you have a comment, say something nice.
I should start saying that.
Say it in a nice
Luckily,
way.
I haven't had too many. Probably the most offensive comments I've gotten have just been, there's a video where I refer to Richard Lehman as like that he writes as like a horny teenage incel, and several people took that highly offensive, or like, I'm gonna find a different channel that
I don't think they've read his books then.
that's not a woke snowflake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not wrong though. That's what I mean, it does feel like reading a 15-year-old's fantasy, sexual fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fun.
But I feel like it's the internet, and I feel like you gotta preface, if you're gonna leave a comment, be nice.
Do you think it works? Or there's like someone's about to be a jerk and they're like, oh,
He
he
said leave a nice comment.
Well, speaking of asthma,
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
I think you mean ripe for the pumping.
Ripe for the pumping.
Right
That's
for
what.
the pumping, yeah.
Those are the flubs that I leave in. You guys should see all the flubs that I cut. There's
I don't think I wanna know.
so much worse.
I'm always impressed. Nick and Bryan, you guys will just do one take, and
no.
Oh, mine's one take. I don't got time for more than that.
Mine is very heavily edited.
so like when I'm going through my video, there's so many moments where I'm just staring at the camera. I'm like, I don't remember anything I was about to say, and I'm gonna have to cut all of this out.
I mean, there's a lot of uhs and ums in my videos, but yeah, I don't think I've ever done more than one take, except for the time where I started my video talking about how it didn't save. Then I had to do a second take, and it made me mad. But that's
Ooh.
I leave all of them.
I don't delete anything unless it's like something particularly offensive, because somehow every once in a while something slips through the cracks and it's like, okay, this doesn't need to be seen. I don't know how the YouTube bots miss this, but most of the time I leave them because it's like, whatever, I don't care.
Do you have an example of something, Tim, that slipped through the cracks that you're like, oh, this has got to go?
There was.
We're trying to get you to say the N-word, by the way.
No, we're not.
This isn't the Lovecraft episode, Jake.
No, we are not.
No, there was one of my earlier videos. Some guy made a reference to so it was in the first Elric video that I did, and I was making fun of Neil Gaiman because he did the intro for this one Elric collection. And someone started talking about Neil Gaiman, and they had the word pedophile written like 5 times in their YouTube comment. It was just really, and they just got into like some really like derogatory, nasty stuff. I'm like, you know what? This doesn't need to be the first comment that everyone sees, because it was literally the first thing that got left in the comment section. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get rid of that.
Good call.
Yeah.
I'll usually make him incorporate the bad comments into my next video and use their power for my own.
You have straight up called people out, and I don't have the cojones for that. My channel's not big enough to get mean comments yet, but I'll probably cry myself to sleep when I do, so it's fine. Just kidding.
I typically,
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, I leave them as well. I don't reply to, like, if someone's just, it seems like they're trolling, I don't reply to them.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple, this is always cool too. I've had a couple where someone will leave like a trolly comment or something negative, and other people will jump on their back and be like, hey, you shut up.
Your crew. Totally. No, that's awesome.
Free Patreon subscription for you, sir.
Kevin?
Why are you always picking on me?
Why are you always picking on me? I haven't done anything wrong ever, and you're just picking on me. Although I have heard that Kevin has little man syndrome. That's kind of why he always feels like he sees a big man like me, and he feels the need to, small. He's a small man, Kevin. I want to say he's like 5'2", 5'2" or 5'3".
How many episodes of EEBS does Jake talk about small people?
Or just about the fact that he's 6'4".
I talk about everything.
Dude, I swear to God, if we meet up in real life sometime soon and you're like 5'9", I'm gonna kill you. Oh dang. Kevin just dropped his reply.
Oh,
all right. So if we ever meet Kevin, I'm bringing a tape measure. We're gonna see, because I am this shy of 6'5", and so I don't say I'm 6'5" because I want to be honest, But if we're rounding up, so if you're rounding up, my friend,
I'm the shortest guy here, and I'm not ashamed of it.
How tall are you, Bryan?
I don't know, 5'6", maybe 5'7". I don't know, 5'6".
how do you know you're the smallest one here?
I can just tell.
Dude, he's a skateboarder. They're all short.
If I did get on a skateboard, it would snap in half.
I skateboarded in my teens. All right. I just recently got one as part of my midlife crisis. So.
Okay.
That happened to me, and then I fell down once, and then I was done.
It does hit different when you fall.
Mm-hmm.
I the first time I fell, I was like, I don't remember it hurting this bad.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Watching you do the kickflip in that video, I was like, he's a brave man. I just watch kids jump down from a small ledge, and I'm like, oh, it makes my knees hurt.
I drive around my local, there's like a Food Lion and then a little Chinese place. And I'm like, look at that 5-stair. I bet I could jump that.
Yeah.
But I'm that's a bad idea.
Record it, please.
Record it. But I could say for certainty, Bryan, that you're not the shortest one here, because no one else offered up their height. So I think it's you and me are the tallest. So
I've said how tall I am before. I'm 6 foot.
Yeah.
I'm 6'4".
Are you really?
I am.
Oh wow! All right. Well,
Tim's silent.
That leaves one.
You
Sounds like
guys
I
are just gonna have to. It's just gonna be a mystery for all time.
Dang it.
Y'all
Oh,
still
man.
think BH Brandt is my real name.
Please say 411. Oh, please say Danny DeVito. Please.
I'm not saying anything, man.
he already said he was Gimli in the last video.
That's true. I did say that.
Anyway, are you guys ready? Because we're rambling. We're doing what I said I would never do on YouTube. Talk about haircuts.
What are we reading right now? What's everybody reading?
All right, you go first.
Me?
We'll go clockwise.
Okay. Well, as soon as where is it? Oh gosh, it's on the top shelf. Hold on.
I'm gonna go grab my book too.
Okay.
Well, I once again, because this thing is going to be haunting me until it's probably going to be happening the rest of the year. Got back onto the Redwall series, so
Yeah. Well,
yet another Redwall book.
Shocker.
I know, right? So, book 4, Mariel of Redwall, that'll be happening for the next week or so. I'll probably get on to book 5 after that. I want to read. I have a Richard Matheson collection. Oh my gosh! Of course, Brian would get his kid on live stream.
Try not to put my kid on the internet, but she wants to sit in my lap.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, I have a Richard Matheson collection that has I Am Legend and a bunch of other short stories. I want to get on that soon, so I'll probably be doing that after the Redwall books.
that's awesome. I read that Stir of Echoes, and it was so great.
Nice. Okay. I think that's part of the collection, so let's check it out.
Excellent story.
I need to read more horror. Like Sam, I watched your last video. You were talking about your recent reads. I'm like, I need to read more horror. Dang it! The only horror I've really read recently is H.P. Lovecraft, which, you know, is it horror? Is it science fiction? Is it fantasy?
I think of him as a horror author. Definitely very sci-fi, but definitely classic.
Yeah, I
classic
consider horror also. Tim, you just read Burial Rites. What are you talking about? You're reading horror.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's like that's like the first like somewhat recent horror novel I've read since I was like in middle school. So
all I read. I can go next. I'm reading this book. It's actually a newer book. I don't know if this is out yet.
Blow them
but
up, Tim or Nick.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to do that, actually.
I've seen photos of that on Instagram recently.
I actually today I posted a picture of it.
Maybe I saw your photo.
That's me.
dang it, Nick.
What did I do?
Keep trying. You'll find it.
I don't know how to do it, Jake.
Grab him. Grab his screen and move it over. You can click on
where?
him and then.
So
Yeah,
just
there we
hold
go.
it. Like,
Now
dude,
grab him
come
and drag
on.
him.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. But yeah, this is a heavy metal horror novel, and I've
Nice.
hinted at it a couple times. But I wrote a heavy metal horror novel that I'm hoping to self-publish this year. So it's cool reading this
Do it.
and comparing it to what I wrote.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you hold it higher? I can't see the name. The author.
Yeah. It is
Brady J. Sadler.
backwards. It Brady J. Sadler.
Does it take place in the? Go. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, it takes it starts off in the 80s and it takes place primarily in the 90s.
Back when we still had decent music.
Yes. Yes, but heavy metal focused, lots of heavy metal references in it.
Nice.
So far enjoying it.
And it's horror, right?
Yeah, I would say like a coming of age horror. And there's a lot of in the first chapter, there's some horror-esque stuff that happens, but a lot of it is coming of age. And now where I'm at right now, there's definitely some more horror stuff that's coming through in the story.
That's awesome. And you said you wrote a heavy metal horror story too?
I did.
Like a full length book? or November?
Yeah, it's 220 pages, I believe, right now.
Well, you just finished the first draft or second draft or something, right? I saw you post something about that.
I did. Yeah, I finished the second draft of it, and it's being proofread right now. So, like, not it's being proofread, not like professionally, but I'm just getting the first other eyes besides mine on it.
Test writers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Test
Can't
readers.
wait to read it, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Congratulations on even getting that far, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank you.
Writing books is hard, man.
It is.
All right, let's see. How do I do this? Who's going next? You, Little John? You want to go next?
Is that me or is that Tim?
There's
Oh,
Little John
me.
right there.
Oh, Paul. Okay.
Oh, Little John as in the tall one, yeah.
I just finished Assault on the Gods by Stephen Golden. This review will be coming out this week. That's such a rad cover.
It is an awesome cover. Who did that again?
The cover, Don Mites.
Okay.
Don Mites. I also Paul loves or not Paul. Book Dragon Dog Lover. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Is he you a booktuber
Geeks,
Newark?
Geeks love dogs.
Geeks
Space
love dogs.
book
Book
dragons.
Dragon book love dog. Dog lover book dragon geek. He emailed me. He's a New York guy, and you guys should check out his channel. Like good promo there. Because he says he said I've seen you collect some of those weird little laser books before, the laser science fiction, and so he says this bookshop just got a whole collection of them here in New York. So he hooked me up with their with the book owner, and so I just today got a box of almost 40 or so of these weird little
my gosh
laser books.
Wow.
Just a couple of them. The story behind this is only like a 2-year publication. The story behind it is really fascinating. So I'm going to be doing a video on these. I got a whole stack of them here.
Aren't they Harlequin?
Yes.
Don't, spoiler alert.
Oh, Jesus, sorry. Sorry for having knowledge.
Sorry for knowing stuff.
I already did a video on it, so it doesn't matter.
You did?
I mentioned it. I mentioned it in the beginning of a laser review.
Well, maybe I'm not doing anything ever.
No, dude, you'll do it better. I only vaguely mentioned it. You're gonna do a whole video.
Well, why? No, because right now you're taking credit for it. And so if I do make this video, then you're going to make a clip, a response clip, a takedown clip of this saying, oh, look here, this is when I said I did it first, it was my idea. And Jake, that hack, copied me.
No, because everyone just watched it live and they just saw you realize that you're not copying.
Doesn't matter. Who they're going to believe? You or me? They're going to believe you, obviously. You and do the video, but no
I would
shower.
probably believe Nick.
Kevin. All right, Kevin. I bite my tongue so much around you because I want to be your friend, but now it's like, don't you have a fence you can go peer over? Freaking weirdo. And then EEBS, we have 2 upcoming EEBS. Not the next upcoming one. Tim will handle that. The one I'm doing on my channel next, which is probably end of May, is shut up, everybody. Shut up, chat. Nobody asked any of you. We're doing The Reassembled Man by Herbert Castle, which is just a bunch of naked ladies. And this one is funny because we tried to get Deb from the Omnivorous Reader. You could take me off full screen, by the way.
Okay.
We tried to get Deb off the Omnivorous
You're
from
like
the
holding up
Omnivorous
books and stuff.
from the Omnivorous Reader.
We never let Bryan talk about what books he's reading.
We'll get to him. It's still my turn.
Nobody cares. It's fine.
Nobody's watching anymore, so
I care.
We're having Deb from the Omnivorous Reader on. This is going to be the end of May on my channel. We're also having a few other special guests as well. So we have Jeff from Jeff, what's your channel's name? I'm totally spacing on it.
I'm not
Jeff,
going to
you
tell
have
you.
cool books.
Yeah. He's in the chat.
it's right there.
Jeff Cave of Cool Books. He's going to be joining us as well, and potentially another one. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing The Reassembled Man by Herbert D. Castle. That's all I have going on, and I'm done. They're tearing us apart.
Tearing us apart, Lisa.
All right, are you ready? You ready, Bryan?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You want to be
It's not
big, or
gonna-
are you going to hold
Full
stuff up?
screen.
No, I don't have anything to hold up at the moment. I
Well,
don't
then
care.
you're not getting full screen.
I don't need it. Yeah, I just finished this book that like yesterday, so that we just talked about, and then I've been reading Down a Dark Hole by Lois Duncan because that was like my random read, and then I listened to I've been listening to the third Mistborn book, Brandon Sanderson.
I won't say nothing.
Yeah, it's honestly it's kind of slow and long, but I'm sure you know. I don't know. We'll see. Not gonna say anything.
Ooh, that after Burial Rites, that must be you ready to quit reading or try something else?
A lot of slow stuff going on, yeah, for sure.
You ever just get like a bunch of stinkers in a row and you're like, I kind of don't want to read anymore?
Yeah, well, that's what they call a reading slump, right? Like I feel like in January I just had a bunch of 5 stars and I was like, yeah. And then, you know, it has been although I am enjoying the Lois Duncan book. So yeah.
That's
Love
the
Lois Duncan.
kid book, right?
Yes.
He's holding up a stuffed animal.
Teen book.
You're holding a stuffy.
I'm not holding it.
Animal
Oh,
talking about it.
little stuffy's coming in the screen.
I told you guys the babysitter bailed. All right, I'm doing my best.
All right, so it's my turn. I'm last. I just finishing
Nice.
this probably tonight. Moonshine War. Do you know this, Sam?
I love Elmore Leonard, so I haven't
Oh.
read the Moonshine War though.
Yeah, it's so awesome. It's like Appalachian gangster stuff, bootlegging, and oh, it's so cool. I was thinking since it's Appalachia and Kentucky, I was gonna pull out the banjo, play you guys a song. What do you think?
Do it.
Do it.
I don't know if you're joking or not, but please, God, do it.
And we're also gonna read more of our Weasels Rip My Flesh.
Greatest book title ever.
This was put out by the Men's Adventure Library, available at menspulpmax.com. And it's all stories that were originally appeared in Men's Adventure magazines from the 50s to the 70s. And it's not all animal attacks. It's all kinds of stuff. There's a crazy Robert Silverberg story in there. That would be a 3-finger. I tried clawhammer. I couldn't figure it out. But I will definitely do not play it like a guitar. If I ever see someone playing a banjo like a guitar, I want to grab it and smash it over their head.
Dang. Okay.
So there. Yes, I do play. There you go.
Thanks.
Diddly,
I like
diddly.
to play.
Got a banjo sitting right there. Can't play a thing on it.
Why do all you have banjos? Is this a thing?
I mean,
know.
I understand Bryan. He's from the South, but
Yeah. Well, it's not a West Coast thing. I don't think I've ever seen a banjo in real life.
That's true. When I was out in Arizona, I tried to find one, and I went to a store, and the guy was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." I was like, "A banjo, dude."
wait, the
Just got
guy.
mine on
Jake,
Facebook
where are
Marketplace
you?
because I was like, oh, that'd be cool.
I grew up in Washington most of my life, except for the last. And I've been in Texas for like almost 2 years now, but Washington. Yeah, we're tall over there, not like the rest of the country. Wait,
Right.
Tim, what are we doing next? The next EEBS, because this is the one after next.
Yeah.
Definitely not
So
leaving
next EEBS, still figuring out the date for that. But we will be doing. The Dancer from Atlantis by Paul Anderson, or Poul Anderson, or Powell Anderson, or Pool Anderson, depending on who you talk to.
You literally just said the same thing like 4 times in a row.
Okay, whatever. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Dancer from Atlantis. That'll be on my channel. Talking to quite a few people for potential guests. Right now, the only one we have nailed down is Virgil from Literally Books, which is going to be fun. He's fun to talk to. So can't wait to see what he thinks of this. It's a time travel-ish kind of story. Time travel fantasy. I actually don't know. I just read the blurb today, so. But it'll be interesting. It's a Paul Anderson book, so his are usually pretty good. And like I said, we don't have the date for that nailed down yet, but it'll probably be around the middle of May.
Sweet. Gotta find it.
I was just at a bookstore that literally had a shelf where it was all Paul Anderson, and at least half of the books sitting on it were paperback copies of The Dancer from Atlantis. I should have bought you guys some.
I'm
They're
sure.
literally books.
I'm sure they'll be in the stores here. There's a lot of sci-fi here because I buy everything else. All right, is everyone ready to go? Jeff's already out of here. He's like, God, I can't take any more of this. Yep. See, look, Matt's gone too. Everyone wants to go.
Nobody left, yeah.
All right, so thanks for watching, everybody. Sam, Bryan, thanks for visiting us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us, man. Always a pleasure.
We're glad you guys enjoyed the book.
I enjoyed the book.
Not you, Tim.
It was it was right.
All right, so let's end it. I'm out of here. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Wait.
Button, Nick.
Is he going to end it?
Hit the
No,
button.
I gotta do the out thing. Everyone's waiting.
Hit the button.